One of my friend is a gynecologist and he has his own hospital in one of the cities of Maharashtra. 10 days back I came to know that he suddenly became breathless and was taken to hospital. His COVID-19 test was done and he tested positive for COVID-19. He never compromised his services to his patients since last many months, even during the lockdown period. Even he operated on some of the COVID positive patients. But with all precautions, with full PPE kit, he was trained in infection prevention and control practices and was following them to the extent possible to him. But in spite of that, he tested positive. Now I am asking you, are you aware of these infection prevention control practices? And if at all this infection comes your way, are you prepared or do you know what to do if you or your loved ones test positive? If answers to these questions are yes, then that's great. But if you don't have answer to these questions, ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Kamlakar. I am a WHO State Coordinator for Neglected Tropical Diseases for State of Maharashtra. I am here to help you out in gaining these basic tips to live with this COVID pandemic. In my topic today, I'm going to discuss about community health in COVID-19. As the terminology itself says, it's a health of community, not individuals. So, community at large, people at large. Basically, one of the important focus of this community health is prevention of the infection rather than its cure. So in my whole presentation, I'm going to discuss you how to prevent this infection or how to protect yourself and your loved ones from this COVID-19 and how to deal with it if at all you contract this infection. I'm also going to discuss what is the impact of this COVID-19 on community health, how these services are compromised, and how Government of India and Maharashtra is dealing with this COVID-19 in terms of provision of these community health services. So in my presentation, I am going to start my presentation with background of coronavirus and COVID-19 disease. What are the important things and basic important things you should be aware of this COVID-19 and coronaviruses? What are the myths associated with this COVID-19 and what are the actual facts? I'm going to tell you some tips in terms of taking your self-care. And very shortly I'm telling you what is the impact of this COVID-19 on community health. So let's start. Coronaviruses are large family of viruses ranging causing illnesses ranging from common cold to more severe diseases. Here are some examples of these coronavirus diseases. Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, which is caused by one of the coronaviruses known as MERS coronavirus, and Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome, which is caused by SARS coronavirus. So, this MERS coronavirus causes Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, which was first detected in 2012, 2012 in Middle East. There were around 2000 cases of this MERS, and out of those 2000 cases, 600 patients died out of it. So the net case fatality rate for MERS was more than 30%. This epidemic was there in more than 21 countries of the world. Similarly, SARS coronavirus caused severe acute respiratory syndrome was detected in China in 2003, and there were around 8,000 cases of this SARS, and out of those 780 people died out of it. So the case fatality rate was around 9 to 10%. This present coronavirus, which causes COVID 19 illness, is known as SARS coronavirus 2. And the peculiarity of this virus is it is different than previous two viruses in terms of its rapid spread. It's spreading like anything. You see, first case was detected in December 2019 in China, and within a span of 4 to 5 months, almost whole world is affected with it. There are millions of cases with this COVID-19 disease. Basically, these coronaviruses are zoonotic viruses, meaning they are transmitted between animals and human. They are primary inhabitants of animals and accidentally they get transmitted to humans. With detailed investigation, it was found that SARS coronavirus was accidental spillover from civet cats, and MERS coronavirus was accidental spillover from dromedary camels. There are few examples. There are few more examples. If you are interested, I want to tell you. These zoonoses, due to disturbance in the human and animal interface and this ecosystem, these viruses, day by day, these zoonotic viruses are gaining entry into humans and causing these diseases. The famous examples of more zoonotic zoonoses are HIV infection, which was initially there in monkeys, but in 1984 it got transmitted to humans. Second example of this zoonotic disease is Ebola virus disease. Ebola virus was initially in bats, but now it is causing epidemics in humans. So, due to imbalance of this human-animal ecosystem, these viruses are coming to humans and causing infections. The exact origin for this SARS coronavirus 2 is not yet established and the studies are going on. The investigation into it is going on. So as of now, there is no confirmed source of this, the confirmed known source for this SARS coronavirus 2. Now let's come to the COVID-19 disease. COVID-19 is an infectious disease, and what is the meaning of that? Infectious meaning means it is easily communicated from one person to another person. So it is infectious disease and can be spread from humans and can be spread from animals to humans and humans to many more people which came into which comes into contact with that infected case. The spectrum of the disease is basically mild to moderate disease. With the data available in India, more than 85% people didn't have any symptom. So they were totally asymptomatic. In most of the cases, the disease is mild to moderate, and only in few cases it goes into stage of severity. So the case fatality rate with the available evidence in India is 3.2 and for Maharashtra it is 4.7. So that shows more than 95% people successfully recovered without any successfully recovered from this disease in Maharashtra, and the same is 97% for all over India. But this case fatality rate varies between cities. As of now, it is highest for Ahmedabad and lowest for Hyderabad. If you look at a global spectrum, European and American countries are having little more case fatality rate, having more mortality rate for COVID-19 than as compared to India and Russia. As I have already mentioned, only few people goes into severe illness, and who are those people? These are the peoples with comorbidities, and these comorbidities are cardiovascular disease like coronary artery disease, hypertension, diabetes, chronic respiratory illnesses like asthma, COPD, cancer, and old age. So these are the comorbidities which are associated with severe illnesses. And the best way to prevent and slow down the transmission is getting aware of this disease, how it spreads, and how to halt this transmission with proper precautionary measures. Now, if you ask me how to protect in 2 or 3 lines, how to protect yourself and others from this infection, I would say wash your hands regularly with soap and water. If that is not possible at your workplaces and offices, use alcohol based hand sanitizers containing at least more than 70 or at least 70% alcohol. And don't touch your face with your hands, because the only portal for entry for this virus in your body is your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. So if you take at least this minimum care, you can definitely protect yourself and others from this getting this infection. Every day some new theory, some new concept is coming up. So as of now, what is known is the transmission or the spread of this COVID-19 is primarily through droplets of saliva and discharges from nose on coughing and sneezing. So if one takes due care that while coughing and sneezing, if you use handkerchief or piece of cloth, then you can definitely prevent these droplets going into the air and ultimately getting transmitted to others. As of now, there is no specific treatment, though many regimes are being tried for treating patients in various settings. There is no specific vaccine as yet, but there are few promising drugs available presently. To treat severe illness, recently dexamethasone has shown excellent result for treating severe illnesses. And antivirals like favipiravir is proving very helpful in mild to moderate illness. Also, remdesivir is also proving showing promising result in treating these patients. And as per the feedback or as per the um, information shared by our WHO chief scientist, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, there are more than 60 candidate vaccine for this COVID-19, and out of those, 10 have already cleared animal trials. Now they are in human trials. Now let me tell you, there are various steps for development of a vaccine. So pre-animal trials, animal trials, and then human trials. So these are the various steps. I'm not going into details of those steps, but we are very close to the development of the vaccine, and hopefully by the end of this year we will be available with at least one vaccine to treat this. If you are aware, this Serum Institute has already um, uh, joined hands with Oxford University in development of one of the vaccines. Now I am coming to the symptoms of this COVID-19. What are the symptoms? If I divide these symptoms into two categories, most common symptoms and less common symptoms, there are three most common symptoms seen in COVID-19: fever, dry cough, and tiredness. And there are few less common symptoms like body ache, pains, nasal congestion, headache, conjunctivitis, conjunctivitis meaning redness of the eyes, sore throat, difficulty, pain in the throat, diarrhea, that is loose motions, loss of taste and smell sensation, rash on skin or discoloration of fingers and toes. Now, I would like to mention here, with my experience with doctors working in COVID care center in Pune, one doctor told me that though it is listed, though loss of taste and smell sensation is listed in less common symptoms, I have seen many patients complaining of this symptom or complaining of this loss of taste and smell sensation. Now, what are the steps or what are the tests available for confirming the diagnosis of COVID-19? You clinically, you cannot differentiate between mild fever and COVID-19, but there are few laboratory confirmatory tests available to confirm the diagnosis. And the sample taken for these tests are nasal swab, that is nasopharyngeal swab, or oral swab or oropharyngeal swab. So basically a cotton swab is taken from nose of the patient or mouth of a patient, and that sample is sent to laboratory for performing various tests like a real-time RT-PCR. So I'm not going into details of this test, but just if somebody is interested, uh, these are the names of tests which are done for COVID-19: real-time RT-PCR, TrueNAT test, and CBNAT test. This is the letter shared by Indian Council of Medical Research on 13th of June, and which shows there are around 893 laboratories performing these COVID-19 tests. Out of those, 646 laboratories are government laboratories and 247 laboratories are private laboratories. Even in that letter, it is clearly mentioned that 533 labs conduct a real-time RT-PCR, 289 labs conduct TrueNAT test, and 71 labs conduct CBNAT test. Yeah. Talking about Maharashtra, there are 98 labs conducting these tests for COVID-19, and out of those 98, 55 labs are government laboratories and 43 labs are private laboratories. What I am talking about is from the letter shared by ICMR on 13th of June. There could be change and there could be updation of the list. I'm not yet aware of it. Somebody interested can visit the ICMR website and see the updated list. In that list, it is clearly mentioned city-wise which are the government and private laboratories. Here is just the example from Nasik district. There are two private laboratories testing for these COVID-19. Diagnostic Molecular Laboratory, Department of Microbiology, Dr. Vasantrao Pawar Medical College, and Datar Cancer Genetics Limited, Ambad, MIDC, Nasik. Something regarding cost of the test. Initially, uh, when the test was allowed to private laboratories, the cost of that test was around 5,500 rupees. But with the efforts of government of Maharashtra, the cost has been brought down to 2,200 rupees in Maharashtra. And the person who played a key role in bringing down this cost is CEO of the Mahatma Phule Jan Arogya Yojana, who happened to be my batchmate from 12th standard and MBBS. We were together. So I'm really proud to mention his name here. Dr. Sudhakar Shinde is the person who played a key role in bringing down the cost, and also he regularized uh, he regulated the cost for treatment in private hospital in Maharashtra. Now you must have heard these terminologies frequently from people: quarantine, isolation, social distancing. But are they same or are they differ? So I'm going to throw some light on these terminologies. Quarantine basically is for those people who are not yet ill, but they have been exposed to the infection. So if somebody had a travel history of visiting Europe or America in initial phase of this disease, we used to segregate those people, those who have visited Europe or America, in some particular center for a period of 14 days. So why 14 days? Generally, illness appear after a period of incubation period of that illness, that disease. So for COVID-19, incubation period is 14 days. So we used to separate that person in one particular center for a period of 14 days, and that is quarantine. That doesn't mean the person uh, has disease, but it is for those who are not yet ill. And goal here for quarantine is to prevent spread of disease at the time when people just develop symptom. We are not yet sure whether that person has disease or not, but just to confirm or just to wait for that period till the time the person shows symptom, we have to segregate that person, and doesn't usually doesn't allow that person to mix with other people, so that during pre-symptomatic stage or asymptomatic stage he should not transmit the infection to others. What is the meaning of isolation? Isolation is for those people who are ill. So if somebody is showing symptoms, we isolate, we segregate that person in COVID care centers, and so that that person should not transmit infection to others, those coming in contact with him. And what is the meaning of physical distancing? Physically distancing means basically being physically apart. So it is one of the general measure for each and everyone, and WHO recommends at least physical distance of 1 meter or 3 feet between two person whenever they are together. So, and why is this 1 meter? Because when a person coughs or sneezes, the the droplets of that after that sneezing can spread up to 3 feet or 1 meter, and that's why this social distancing of 1 meter. Now, I have already shared what are the steps to be followed to protect yourself. But I am throwing some more light. I am elaborating it a little bit further. So, washing and cleaning your hands with soap and water is the key step. You can do it same with the alcohol containing hand sanitizers having alcohol content of more than 70%. I am deliberately repeating few things again and again just to reiterate those things, just to bombard those things so that the message should be clear to each and every person. uh, I'm aware the participants of this faculty developed program, they are smart enough and they must be aware. But still, for someone, if it is going to help someone, I'm always there to discuss it. Maintaining at least 1 meter's physical distancing between you and your others, avoiding going to crowded places, avoiding touching avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. I have already mentioned it. Making sure that you and people around you are following good respiratory hygiene or good respiratory etiquettes, like using piece of cloth while coughing and sneezing. If that is not available with you, using your flexed elbow while coughing and sneezing. Now you may say it is very easy for someone to follow the practices, but make others follow them. Yeah, you are right. We cannot help, but at least we can try it ourselves, and that might motivate others to follow the same. Staying at home and isolating oneself with slightest of the symptoms or slightest of the idea that you could be infected. With mild symptoms, with your mild fever and sore throat and common cold, if you feel like you isolate yourself in home. Don't go outside, don't visit your workplace, and that can definitely prevent others from getting infected. And last not the least, keep your knowledge updated regularly, because every day some new concept is coming. Every day something which was spoken few days back has been rubbished. So keep your knowledge updated. Advice on use of alcohol-based hand sanitizers. See, we are not very well acquainted with using these alcohol-based sanitizers. You might have used in the past, but nobody's not everyone was using these alcohol-based sanitizers so frequently previously. So here are a few tips for using these alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Keep these sanitizers out of children's reach. Apply a coin sized amount, don't take excess amount or don't take lesser amount. Avoid touching your eyes, mouth, and nose immediately after using alcohol based hand sanitizer. Do not use before handling fire or cooking. And why? Because, as you know, alcohol is highly inflammable and that can catch fire. Under no circumstances drink it or let children swallow it. It has a hazardous effects. It can act as a poison. So mind it. Don't allow children to swallow it. And especially if you are working in a rural area, kindly guide others or kindly guide illiterate people. If you are using at workplace or other places, kindly guide not to swallow it, because people, if something is given, they are habit they are in habit of drinking it or swallowing it. Remember that washing your hands with soap and water is equally effective. Now I am going to discuss some of the points or some of the situations you could have come across, or you could come across. So, can COVID 19 be spread through coins and banknotes? There is no any evidence so far proving or disproving it that banknotes and coins can transmit COVID 19 infection.